beautiful nuance. Good evening, Navya. Today, a lot of people joined in the evening batch. You're talking about textures. So, um, there are textures everywhere. There are textures in the food when we eat food. When a chef is designing a menu, he plans what is the texture should be. A musician, a voice texture, visual texture. What does texture mean? What is the texture? When does something become a texture?
When there are variations in how you see or how you touch.
Yeah, but okay, what kind of variations?
Variations in smoothness or roughness. Uh,
No, even on a
I think
two-dimensional
us,
plane, you can
yes,
see a
will be there.
texture.
Yes.
It's not necessarily three-dimension. We also have two-dimensional textures. So how do we look at it? What is a texture?
There's something which will give us a depth if or maybe something which I can see through or not see through. I'm talking especially about, say, watercolor, something which comes across mm, I mean, with the medium you can portray that light or not so light thickness or something like that of an object which is a 3D object,
You
but
mean it's play of light and a
playing of
scope,
light
scopeful
or
play of light and shadow is what I get from you. So, okay.
for watercolor. For music, it may be the grain of the voice or something like that.
Hmm.
Don't you have to feel to know texture, vibration, smooth?
Sorry, Neha, I'm not able to.
Texture is something that needs to be felt, and in painting, as Durba just mentioned, you capture that through a change in the tonal values. So, for example, yesterday we saw Swati's paintings where she had Shruti or Swati. I'm sorry, I forgot her name.
Yes.
And she had beautiful work done by salt. It was a 2D painting, but you could see the texture thanks to the difference in the colors and their tonal value, which was a theme. So my take is it's a change in the feeling of the subject conveyed through colors or change in colors.
Yeah, you mean there's a change.
Yes. If there's
So
go ahead, please.
can it be simply variations within a rhythm, but still it changes the rhythm, but it's still sits within the rhythm very well.
Still harmonious.
Yeah,
There's harmony, but there's change.
yes,
There's But
just
are
something.
there any detectable patterns in textures? Can we read through the patterns? Like say for example, when we look at a bark of a tree, can we read through the patterns?
Yeah, I think in the bark of a tree, we know that there are textures which leads us to the number of years old the tree is, or
That is the rings,
the rings. Okay, the
Yeah,
bark.
that's not the bark. That's the rings. Yes.
Interesting, no, to think on these lines. I mean, how human always looks for patterns, seeks patterns and simplifying geometry. When we are asked to paint mountains, we just simply paint triangles. We, as humans, we try to simplify as much as we can. But the beauty about textures is what I feel is although we cannot comprehend the geometry, it's when you look at a a grain of sand or a rock or an old wall, um, um, a stone wall or whatever. There's a lot of nuances, scope for play of light and shadow, and um, I think there's some mysteriousness in texture, and that mysteriousness opens up the minds. I mean, it alerts the mind. When you see a pattern in it, the mind is already closed. Like, I know this pattern. But when you don't know the pattern, the mind is still open, is what I feel. What do you think, Ankita?
Yeah, it actually comes very close to this biases of the brain, because to simplify information, we have to simplify what we consume from our senses. So, for example, a tree's bark, if you look closely, the trunk would be there would be so much depth in the texture, in the non-uniform texture actually, that if your brain starts to pick up every crack, every information, it would take ages for us to be in the natural environment. So through evolution, we have actually, our senses have understood how to cut down on information which is not necessary for our progress. So we see as much as is required to see for us. Therefore, artists, they tend to see a little bit more differently in the natural environment, more colors, and that's how you train your senses also. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. Any other reflections before I begin a tiny presentation?
So Shyam, is it like there are tactile, or you touch, and that is a texture, and vision, like it creates an illusion. The non-pattern part of the uh, non-pattern of the pattern in the texture, like which is created by paint and light, that forms kind of an illusion, or it creates an illusion on paper, whether it's deep or whether there is a multiple dimension to it. So I think texture is something like that. I don't know, I might be.
Yeah, some may feel there's some mathematical order to this. I mean, I think we need to get a little deep. We'll take some other session talking about what are patterns, when does a pattern, I mean, what are textures? Because I see there is some mathematical, underlying mathematical rhythm, play of mathematics behind all this. So I think we might have to do it in other session. I want to present a tiny video before we start. This is about textures. Can you see the textures? And one of the prominent features of watercolor is the kind of textures watercolor gives. And why is it so magical? It's something that that we need to kind of become aware of. Our ancestors relied on textures for survival. Like, they would look at a texture and feel whether the surface is safe to walk. Is it too rough? Is it too slippery? If they look at the texture of the leaf and decide whether this is a plant that they could consume, or is it too prickly, right? So this survival instinct is always there, whether the animal is a threat. So the instincts within us kind of give us certain information about the textures immediately the moment we look at the texture of a surface, right? Some feel very welcoming, some feel threatening and all that. We don't just see textures. Our eyes feel the texture. When we look at a rough texture of a wall or a cracked wall, we feel something very rough against the skin, we feel it. When we see the soft grass, we feel like lying on it, you know. So it's very much beyond the visual sense, you know. Texture kind of touches immediately the moment ice goes onto the surface. Now, is there texture only in the visual spectrum? Well, there is texture in the food, there is texture in the voice. So what really is texture? See, we've spoken about a dot becoming a line becoming a shape, and shape becoming a pattern, and geometry, and so on and so forth. But where does texture come in this place? I have no answer to this, but what I feel is texture has its own geometry that maybe we are not capable of comprehending. Textures take us into a very mysterious realm, right? Textures are also a record of time. You know, they are like holding the scars. If you look at a old wall with peeled paint, you get a sense of the sun and the rain that happened. You look at an old man with wrinkles, you sense the kind of life they had lived through. I personally feel textures, again, when you look at the bark of a tree, you sense the kind of seasons and the rainfall, the storms that it went through. So textures are kind of a testament, you know, a record of life that they lived through, right? So textures is beyond what we can really talk about, or something that we can grasp. And I really feel it's a mysterious space, and I feel that there has to be this mystery in the work that we do. And I always, you know, when I was learning watercolors, I enjoyed doing textures. I would go around, create random textures, you know, take an elastic band, apply color, hit it to the paper, run a bicycle onto the paper, you know, all kind of different things, apply color to the stone and then do it on the paper. So there's no end to this. It's a huge world in itself. And the beauty is every texture has, you know, has a potential to evoke certain emotion. I want you to kind of look at little things around and see textures, spot textures around you, and see what kind of emotion they are evoking within you. Are they welcoming, or are they, you know, pushing you away, or do you feel like touching them, or do you feel it's painful? Just become aware of, you know, the softness of the flowers and the roughness of the walls. I have one interesting analogy. Imagine if you have to look at a plain wall on one side, or there's another wall that is an exposed wall, exposed to sun. It is an exposed brick wall or a stone wall, whatever it is. What do we choose to look at? We always choose to look at that has texture in it, because when it is completely plain, there's no story in it, there's no place to dwell in it, there's no place to reflect in it, right? There are no nuances, there's no play of light and shadow. So the beauty of texture in an exposed brick wall or a stone wall is every inch of it, every space in the wall has a potential for you to create forms and shapes and reflect and create your own stories. So enjoy the world of textures. There are so many ways to create textures. We play with salt and sprinkling, spraying, maybe use branches or leaves or wherever you find texture, try and apply it onto the paper. There's no end to it. I want you to explore as many ways of creating textures, because I feel this is watercolors. Watercolor is about creating that mystery. Watercolor is not about creating something that is very plain and very clear. It's about creating that space of mystery, right? So I wish you a wonderful time with textures. Thank you. Yeah. So today we will explore textures, but before we begin, any reflections?
Sir, you want us to create and explore texture by using a second medium, say like how you said salt or anything, or you want us to create the texture using, I mean, by painting.
I'll get to that. Basically, today we'll be experimenting. There's no, limitation to this. We're not trying to limit it to just watercolors. We'll try and play around and uh, see. When I used to, in the initial phase of when I was learning watercolor, I was so mad that I used to collect water from different parts of the country. I used to collect water from the sea, ponds, lakes, um, tap water, water from South India, North India, different parts of, and see if there is really any variation. And yeah, it does have a lot of variation because every water has its very different mineral content.
Mineral.
Yeah, and the way they behave with the colors, because colors are nothing but minerals. So how it behaves with the colors will be very different. So today, this next 2 weeks, I want you to be childlike. I want you to be playful, explore spontaneity. I don't want you to. I'm even scared of doing demonstrations, but um, what we are going to do is prepare some colors, keep some sheets handy, and just without thinking, we'll keep doing things, whatever comes to that moment, right? So there are some processes. Shall I share them now? Okay, there are some works that I did. Let me share them first so that you get an idea. So I want to show some of the textures that I've explored. Can you see the screen? Is it clear?
Yes, it is. It is.
This was using salt and giving it a direction. Most of them are A1 size. A1 size is like 50 by 70 centimeter. See the nice transition from dark to light.
This is also salt.
No, this is spraying. I'll explain. I'll give a demonstration. So this is spraying with toothbrush and spray bottle. This is watercolor plus ink. This is black ink.
Shyam, I can't see your video. I don't know if it's just for me.
Yeah, I think
This is a spray bottle, Shyam? Just spraying water.
Shyam, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was spray bottle, Dipandita. This is using a mop technique again, taking some color to the cloth and then painting with the cloth.
Hi, Shyam. Can you demonstrate that mop technique sometime?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Who is this?
Lakshmi.
Yeah.
This technique, Shyam, this one, the gray one that you just removed, yeah, this one.
I think this I applied a lot of dark pigment and then sprayed water and tilted the paper.
Okay.
This was I mean this I didn't expect, but became like a ocean wave.
Wave. Yes,
Yeah.
wave.
So I just did one layer on top and did a darker layer at the bottom and let the color come down. So now I can add someone surfing on this, then it becomes painting. So these things I cannot consciously create. These have to be blessings. These have to be serendipity. These have to be grace. And that will happen only through consistent, love, playfulness, experiments.
Hello.
So is it salt or spray?
Yes. Yes.
This was
How
also
did you take
spray.
this one?
Wow.
This was also spray, but this paper was very different. It's not a cotton paper. I think
Okay.
I don't remember which paper. It dried up very quick. And
Is
the
that why
texture was
you got
because
this
of the kind of
text?
paper.
Is the paper the reason why you got this marble
Yeah,
texture?
it's the paper actually.
So if we use do you maybe have an example of using a rough sheet of 300 GSM paper? Would it look something like this?
No, this was very smooth. For some reason, I'm not able to recollect what paper is this. I think this was like this stationery में जो craft के लिए मिलता है ना paper, craft
Right,
paper.
right. Like a poster color scaling.
Something like that. I don't remember because these were
Okay.
done like 6-7 years ago.
And is this watercolor paint
This
or
is
is this
this
ink?
is ink.
Okay, thank you.
We will also use ink sometime.
Yeah, we'll learn to use ink as well. Look at this texture. Now it can become a nice landscape, a stormy scene.
So ये
So
भी
what I
space
do
है.
is I intuitively create some spaces like this and try and add some elements and bring some make people feel the space. I don't know how much of it is being able to is being conveyed in the camera, but in real it looks very deep.
Yes. So Shyam, what kind of a tool you use here?
Yeah, this was spray and toothbrush.
Oh, that's nice.
If you actually can, take a photo of these and then have a reference sort of a thing later, because through the video, obviously, we are not able to see 100% of the texture that you want to
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yes, yes, right.
Photo would be much more clearer if later if you could do that.
I'll do that. This was again, I randomly created a background and then added this buffalo and a boy just to make the space be felt.
Shyam, what is the size of this paper? Is it
These
12?
are all A1 size.
And what paper these are, Shyam? Like,
These are all different. I mean, I keep exploring, experimenting with paper, mostly Canson Montreal arches. Um, I don't know. When I was learning, I don't know, I used to randomly go to any stationery shop and pick up the papers that were available.
I have a question. Like, in large, I have seen a lot of videos these days. In large kind of paper, people use a lot of lifting techniques. And there is one buffalo picture also here you have done. I think you have used lifting in that, in the green one.
Right. Sometimes when I immediately visualize a space, I do lifting in that.
So how does this color stays wet or the paper stays wet in a larger
You
size?
need to be quick, Dipanvita.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions so far?
Because in the larger spaces, I feel it might dry up very quickly. So
Yeah, you need to be, see, thing is when you're using a larger paper, we use equally larger brush and um, quickness. You need to be very quick when you're painting big.
And you can also wet the backside of the paper to keep it longer. Sometimes if you
Yeah,
wet the
you can wet both the
reverse
sides.
side,
Yeah.
then stays longer, that wetness.
So shall we begin demonstrations?
Yes, please.
Take out your palettes, peppers, water, brushes.
So, Shyam, what size of paper do you suggest we should take today? A4?
A4 is fine, yeah.
Do we have to put the masking tape and secure it or something?
Yeah, you can just put on both the sides, not completely. Any questions regarding textures or
सर सब कुछ क्वेश्चन ही है
sorry?
सब कुछ क्वेश्चन ही है कुछ भी समझ नहीं आया
Yeah, that's a good space to be.
I got a weird idea for
Hmm.
texture. What would happen if we get the paint, like pigments in its raw form, and then sprinkle it on top of paper? I really want to
Oh,
try.
yes. Try. Why don't? Whenever you get an idea, try it immediately. Don't leave it. We'll prepare the colors in creamy consistency. Can you all see the screen? So I'm taking some 3-4 colors. I mean, not very particular about what color. It's just, see, the intent of today's thing is playfulness. I mean, we forget all that we've learned so far. There are no rules today. Just take colors. You have water, you have color, you have a spray bottle, you have papers, you have brushes, you have your fingers, and you have love and curiosity. Just play with these elements and see what comes out. I'm taking some water with my hand and then just trying to bring the colors to a consistency. Not too much, but
There's purple, red, blue, and what is the extreme left color? Is it black?
Yeah, that's Pines Gray, but I mean, I'm not really careful about the colors. You can pick any color.
Okay.
See, this is not about colors, it's about how we play around and see. Mix the colors thoroughly, get them to a consistency, ideally a thicker consistency, somewhere between thick milk to cream. Lassi consistency. I use a couple of bowls. One is to clean the clean the brushes, and the other is to use for the fresh water. Also, those who don't have time to practice this week, don't take too much color because you might end up wasting it. Just in case you think you have time to practice tomorrow or the coming days, you can take much color. Mix the colors without any lumps. Try and this was done in the morning. Keep a spray bottle handy. Let me know once you guys are ready.
Shyam, can you show me the spray
Right.
bottle? What is generally
This
when
is
I do?
a saloon spray.
Okay.
Shyam, what's the brush size you suggest?
Uh,
This is
I'm
A4.
using this mop. You can use the round brushes or any brush. I think every brush will give you a different texture, so it's okay.
Okay.
I'm also using one toothbrush. So how I usually do this, it's like setting up my meal preparation. It's like meal prep, preparing everything, getting everything ready, so that whenever I want to paint, I can just take out these colors and play around. Um, this is very important to keep everything handy, colors in different consistencies. When you're planning to do even more, like say 30, 40 works in a single go, usually what I do, I paint around 40, 50 paintings in a single sitting. Get a lot of colors, take different bowls and bring them to different consistencies, have all kind of accessories to play with, different cloths, different tissue papers, and different waters. So it's like a level, I mean, a kitchen space and continuous experiments. And there's no planning. And every time I sit, every time I put up the paper, I wait for some idea to come. Whenever there's an idea that, okay, let me play around with I mean this spray, let me play around with um, this brush. So I receive a signal before I begin, and I keep building that signal. So every moment I pause, I wait for that signal, and then I push that signal. That's how I do this. Ankita, any questions?
No, just
Ready?
waiting for my signal.
Who is this?
Hi, Shyam. You have a young student. He also sat beside me to paint.
Oh, lovely. What's his name?
All the paints ready, paper ready, everything.
Yeah, today is anyways, the childlike painting. So maybe he'll be better. Spotlight. Huh.
Shyam, sorry, you're using for four different colors, four different brushes, or the same one?
Not that I'm not really thinking about how I'm going to do. So see, ideally this will be done within 30, 40 seconds. So I just wait for that right signal. Okay. What I feel right now is I feel like doing two brush strokes with water first. Okay. And then I want to play with wetness and dryness. So I take a couple of colors and maybe pink. And I want to introduce a third color from far. And I'm using gravity to, you see how these colors are getting blended? Applying some water on top. So I do two wet strokes and then a couple of different colors. And then there's a dry stroke on top, and I let the colors flow into each other. Look how beautiful this blending is happening here. So just be playful, see what what your signal is, and try and explore. Look at this blending. Now, I'll keep this aside and let it dry. For those who wants to understand how to create texture, you can spray some water. You see, I just sprayed some water, and it kind of creates a nice texture. But you add texture when it is about to dry. So keep dabbling. You don't have to follow me. Just wait for your signal and try and play around, see what comes out. Ideally, I don't recommend using a costly paper for these experiments. You can use Canson Montois or Waterlight. Hmm. Now randomly I spray and then try and blend colors.
Sir, I missed it. Did you wet the paper before?
I just sprayed some water.
Okay.
There's no right and wrong in this process. It's just about fearlessness and um, curiosity. See how colors are behaving. Takes some trials for you to figure out, how the colors are behaving, how are they flowing, how each paper is different. And notice how every moment your decisions, you're constantly making decisions. So now if you want to create blooms, some texture on this, you can either spray water, spray salt, or you can add some water droplets. I'll show you how to do the blooms. I'm taking some water with my finger and I'm just dropping it. You see how water is creating, but the paper needs to be damp. It should not be too wet or too dry. So I already start to visualize a landscape out of this in this process. I see some trees developing, some sky and some water here. So this is called lifting. I'm using a damp brush to negate some portion, some white areas. Now I'm going to spray some, okay, randomly taking up colors. This is not wet on wet. This is going to be wet on dry, directly picking colors and trying to Now I want to spray some ink on this. I'm taking a toothbrush and some the camel ink.
Shyam, what did you do with the toothbrush?
I sprayed sprayed ink on this.
Sir, how do you use ink? You use directly from the bottle? How is
Yeah,
it?
I took it directly from the bottle.
And these are alcohol inks, is it?
These are drawing inks,
Okay.
camel drawing ink.
Okay.
You get them as photo inks as well.
Okay.
You see this?
Yes, sir.
So I have a doubt. Can we use the back side of the paper also once the paper dries?
Sorry, what is it?
Can we use the other side of the paper also?
Yeah, once it dries, you can use. If you're not happy with what you got, you can
Okay.
make use of the paper at the back.
Okay.
Ideally, the next day.
Okay.
I tried that, Sham, but after a few days, the paper gets spoiled. It's when I apply water, it starts floating.
Which paper is that?
I tried both on Lana, especially Lana.
Maybe the paper wasn't dry completely. If it is
It,
dry,
it
like,
was it was from my last workshop.
oh,
I tried using those papers.
didn't work out, is it?
Mm.
Okay, shall I show you tiny video? Are you ready? Or you want some time? Do you want some time?
Yes, yes. Very.
Shall I do the mop demonstration? Cloth.
Sir, after our papers dry out, now we are doing some random shapes are coming out, some random patterns are seen.
Huh.
After it dries, can we paint on it? Can we
Yeah, yeah. After it dries, you can do some work on it.
Okay. Yeah.
We want to quickly show you the demonstration of. So how I do is usually once I'm done with doing a lot of like 30, 40 paintings like this, whatever colors are left on the palette, I put it onto the cloth. I take a mop. Oh, sorry, let me show the spotlight. You don't have to paint it now, but let me demonstrate. So what I do is I put the colors outside, take the cloth, and then run it on the paper. But before I do that, I'm going to slightly spray some water so that it's not completely dry. And then I take some colors. See now? Can you see that? This I cannot get with a brush.
Well,
See, there are hundreds of tones in this.
Shyam, while taking the paint, how, like, because you can see so many gradations, like, how did that come?
It's because the cloth, when you apply color to it, there's so much of, at some places it's going to absorb more color, some places less. There's so much of play here in the cloth itself. So the colors are going to get mixed based on the mixing that's happening here.
Okay.
It's to do with the texture on the cloth.
Cloth. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but you pick up more than two colors, right?
Huh.
Hmm.
So let me share some examples of what I've done using this. So using the same mop technique, I painted this. Can you see the screen?
सर इसमें पहले आपने वाटर स्प्रे करा था ना?
Ah. So I first masked the horse and the girl, and then instead of taking too many colors, I just took a couple of colors, Pines Gray and Blue, and this is what I got. So ideally, this painting was done in like 10 minutes or so. Again, the same technique here, Sufi dances, but multiple colors. So this is what I'm talking about, how one more word.
So, which masking glue do you use?
It's Winsor Newton masking fluid.
Thank you.
Can you see this image? Again, look at the number of colors and number of tones that you get to see here. This you cannot do with brush or any other way. Look at the beautiful blend of colors.
Shyam, we can use any cloth or specifically like different cloth will give different
Cloth will
texture.
give you a different texture, so you're free to explore that as well. So what I'll do is because I paint big, I don't get a straight line, so I tie the cloth to a stick, and then I जैसे screen printing करते हैं ना, pulling like that. What do you call? In weaving, they do that movement, right? I do that. This is what I want to make you explore today. We are building library. We are experimenting and we are figuring out some techniques. And then we convert them into artworks. We don't just leave them there. The intent is to push that into interesting ideas. You've seen something beautiful happen, and then, oh, why can't I do something out of this? Any questions? Shall I show a tiny demonstration of tiny video?
Shyam, I wanted to ask you about the salt thing. So, what salt do you use?
Table salt, Tata
Tata
salt.
namak.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And and other thing is, once it dries, do you have to remove it or because I've never used salt. So
So once it
you
dries,
just scrub it out.
it'll automatically become dry, and it'll like you just have to blow it away. You don't have to put in any efforts. It'll automatically go away.
Okay, so you mean it dries up completely and you just have to blow it off. You don't have to use a cloth or something to remove it.
Nothing.
Rough cloth. Okay.
Yeah. So shall I? Do you have? I mean, are you okay? Are you in the middle of work? Shall I show a demonstration?
Yeah. Can I just show you? I think.
Supriya, yes.
Is it?
Nice. Yellow, blue, and red. See, when we are working on wet, what happens is the colors become very dull by the end once it dries.
Okay.
So that's why try and increase the consistency whenever you're planning to paint on wet. Lovely. Yeah, just keep playing around.
Can I show?
Who is that?
Can I show?
Harini, yes.
Harini. Yeah.
Interesting. I think you used A3 size, huh?
This is 1/4 imperial. I don't have imperial size 1/4.
1/4 of
1/4 of.
that is A3 size only.
Yeah, little less than A3.
Yeah. Okay, let me quickly share a demonstration.
Yes.
Durba, lovely.
I already got a cherry blossom tree.
Keep playing around.
I can think of it.
See the screen? Let's explore making textures. As we discussed, textures is the most interesting area in watercolors, and we'll be exploring making textures with salt, spray bottle, and I've taken all the colors in a creamy consistency, a cloth handy, and keep a lot of paper ready. I mean, I always look at this as a mass production. I keep all my colors, brushes, paper, everything ready, and don't really plan, just keep applying water, keep applying colors and pouring salt and different kinds of textures. So I begin applying water. Started applying Prussian blue, and see, because there's so much of water on the paper, the color has become too light. So I've kept the board tilted a bit, and I'm planning to include few more colors. So the more you tilt, the more the colors flow. Plan to add some darks on top, Pines grey color. Now I take a spray bottle and spray the excess, spray some water at the bottom. I still kept the board inclined, and it's always important to remove the excess water at the bottom. Now one thing is, on the top it is already starting to dry, and at the bottom it is very wet because we've been using a spray bottle. So once you feel that there's no more water left on the plank, the paper has to be damp, not wet, and that's when you add salt. You sprinkle some table salt. So at this stage, you can gradually sprinkle some table salt. So I'm not sprinkling everywhere. I'm just sprinkling it one area. So within 5-6 minutes, the texture starts to develop. Salt basically absorbs water, and it is going to create beautiful textures and patterns like this. If you see, wherever the paper was too wet, the texture was big, and where the paper was dry, the texture was too small. So with the varying wetness and dryness, the texture appears. So I'll keep on experimenting. I'll pour colors, I'll blend different colors in different ways, and then put some salt and see what happens. So I do so many of these exercises. Taken some Pines grey. I'm applying some Prussian blue in between. I'm not really thinking what this is going to become, and before I begin the painting, I receive some vague image in my head, and then I try to follow that. Sometimes it's during the process that I keep receiving some signals. So I feel there's so much of wetness on the paper, so I'm just tilting the board so that I can let all the excess water come down. So this is how it appeared just a couple of minutes after sprinkling salt. I'll keep it aside and let it dry. This was the first one we made. It's still drying up in the central portion. See how the texture is improving with time. Look how beautiful direction that it has got. I've just sprayed some water instead of using a brush on the paper. Now I'm randomly adding different colors on the paper. Sap green, Persian blue. Just spraying some water instead of wetting the paper with the brush. Try out different ways. There's no particular rule. There's no way of saying, see, this is the right way to do it. There are millions of ways to do, and these are just the ways that I discovered during my experiments. You might come up with very interesting approaches. So this is just to guide you. This is just to give you pointers, show you possibilities as to what extent this medium could be explored, so that you will remain curious and dive into this world of watercolors. See how the colors are beautifully blending among themselves. So sometimes you can use the brush to blend. Sometimes you can, go around with your plank and tilt it on different sides and let the colors flow into each other. If the colors are not flowing enough, you can spray some water so that it becomes a bit more fluidy. And that's when you let all the colors blend even more smoother. And make sure that you don't leave any excess water left on the paper. And right wherever there's so much of wetness, it doesn't give you texture. It will take a lot of time. Incline while applying colors and salt as well, so that we get to see the textures are flowing in a certain direction. So now I'm adding salt, but I'm holding the paper in some 30-degree angle, and I'm not touching on both the corners. I'm only touching the table with just one corner, which means I'm resting the board pointed on the table, and still I feel that there's some more water that is coming down. I keep a tissue and then remove it. So I keep it aside, inclined on the wall until it dries. Meanwhile, I can do some more exercises. So there's no particular way of applying water. You can just splash some water and splash some color and see how it blends. And then while it is about to be damp, you can spray some salt and see how it behaves.
It continues the Sona Lisa message. हे हवाय का ते हवाय का तुझ्या हे याला हे हवाय का ते
I'm
हवाय
just
का.
planning to spray some water, but make sure the paper is not too wet or not too dry. And you need to figure out the right time to spray. Yeah, look how the droplets of water is creating interesting texture. So based on the nozzle and thickness of the spray, the texture changes. So this is how we have got the texture from our previous works. Look how beautiful the textures have come. This is the texture that we got from the directions when I kept the board tilted at a 30-degree angle. See how the texture is seeming to be in a direction. So I've experimented different ways of doing strokes and applying colors, and then applied salt and spray and created these textures. So wherever there's more water, the texture seems to become big. Wherever there's less water, the texture appears very smaller. Look how beautiful this texture has come out. Now this is the best part of this exercise. Is I really enjoy exploring textures, and I do hundreds of these, and I keep them aside for 6 to 8 months, and then I go back to them and create artworks out of them. So these are the artworks that I've created out of the textures that I've got. So this process includes both intuition and rationality, where in the initial part we are just painting intuitively without thinking much. But later, when we start identifying stories and shapes from the textures, we add certain elements and then create stories out of it. So that's the rational part. So hope you enjoy doing these textures exercises. नींद आ गया.
Beautiful.
So I'm a little hesitant about doing demonstrations because, again, whatever explorations I've done were from my way of doing, my way of thinking, or my way of approach. And by doing that, there is a chance that I might curb your possibilities. So I've given you some brief about some ways of doing it. The first thing is we have few elements, like we have water, we have spray bottle, we have different ways of applying water. We can directly apply with the brush, we can apply with the hand, we can dip the paper in the bucket, we can keep it in the rain, we can keep it in the flowing water, we can keep it under the tap. So explore with different ways of applying water. It's just permutation and combination, just playing around. Then what are the ways you can apply color? You can apply with your fingers, you can splash it, throw it onto the paper. You can let your kid jump onto the paper, or put some color on the balloon and blast it on the paper. There are innumerable ways of applying color. And how do you use your brush? How do you use your fingers? How do you use the gravity and resistance? How do you play around with the tilting? How do you use salt? So there are so many elements. Just try and work with one element at a time. Try and play with water for a few works. Try and play with colors for a few works. Try and play with wet on dry. Try and play with wet on wet. So with each of these areas, then you get more clarity as to how these elements are behaving, right? So the ball is in your court. I want you to play for next 2 weeks and do some very interesting, playful exercises. Um, there are no rules in this. Just that you should know where to stop. You know, you feel that there's something has come out in that work, and that's when you need to stop. And that's a very personal judgment, and that makes a lot of difference. And if you overdo it, it's gone. So also try to pause once in a while and realize where you should stop. Any questions? Divya, yes.
I'm so hesitant to experiment because I feel this paper and this paint is so expensive and
Yeah.
it doesn't deserve to be wasted.
Mhm.
I'm working, I'm earning money, and I'm still feeling like that young person who's like, oh, this is expensive things and I shouldn't
Yes.
experiment.
I get that completely, Divya. I mean, you need some madness, you need some risk appetite, you need some stupidity, you need some irrational way of looking at this. So how I don't know, I think it's also to do with the age. Maybe I began it like when I was young, I didn't think of all these things. Um, it's so strange that even when my pocket money was very less, I would spend 90% of my money in buying stationery, and most of it, I never knew that I'm going to uh, professionally I'm going to earn from my art. I just
Mm-hmm.
painted because I loved it. So somewhere down the line, it's the love, it's the curiosity that will drive you rather than trying to. So these thoughts arise when you're trying to expect something back from that. So
Yes, I feel like if it's not a masterpiece, it shouldn't be on paper. Yeah.
no, I think you really need to sit with that thought. You know, that's where we were encouraging you to work with the intent. Why do you want to do painting? These questions arise initially itself. Do you want to paint because you want to become an artist? Do you want to paint because you love the medium? Do you want to paint because you want to escape from something else? Do you want to paint because you're curious about life? Do you want to paint because um, you want to look at life in a different way? Do you want to paint because you want to be part of a community? There are different reasons for each one of us. That's why in the initial stage itself, we were giving you some time to sit with these questions and see what really are you expecting out of this? And I keep every time I get an opportunity, I keep reinforcing the fact that we should not really expect anything from this process. We don't
Wow.
know. We might end up getting some wonderful works, but that will be blessing. That will be grace. That will be out of our love. Because once you expect something out of it, the entire ball game changes. The way you work changes. When there is expectancy, um, there's some sense of fear. There's some sense of attachment, and with that, I don't think you can be 100% childlike or open in front of the paper. So somewhere, like you need to trick your mind. You know what I do is I buy a I buy whenever I have some funds, I just buy in bulk, and I imagine that I've lost the money. You know, I lost the
Yeah, that
money in
works.
some
Yeah.
stock
Yeah.
market or investment or some cheating. I've lost the money. And I've got paper instead. So that's how I look. You need to trick the mind in believing, your mind believes whatever you say. So you need to trick the mind and see Um, see how you can make use of whatever you have, whatever little things you have. One more thing is you don't always need a costly paper, you know. You can start with brown paper. You can start with discarded paper. You can start with, paper that you find here and there. Maybe the output changes, that will be different, but your experiments should not stop because of lack of paper or something. So keep at it. If you're not very confident about using the paper, start small. Start with whatever you have, like simple. So when I was in Hampi, I didn't have much paper with me. I got this brown roll that we used to cover the books, that 10 rupees brown
Yeah.
roll, right? And I spread it across and I keep on painting on that. So let that not be an excuse for you to not paint. And without the madness, I don't think we can pursue this medium we can't just justify this medium. We need that bit of madness and risk appetite.
Thank you. Thank you.
Divya, I think we're interacting for the first time.
Yes. I live in Montreal, Canada, and
Yeah.
this time doesn't set up for me. Today I got up a little early, so I logged in halfway.
Okay, it's six. What's time it is? 6:30, 7:30 in the morning?
Now it is 8.
8 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah. So when the class starts, it is 6.
6 in the morning. Okay. We have another person, Sakshi from Canada. So she's doing in the night.
The night it starts at 10:30 and it goes into midnight. It will be difficult for me to.
Yeah. Sakshi is a night owl. A night owl. She can't wake up in the morning. So, any reflections from today's session? I know it's very overwhelming. We've discussed too many things, but I hope at least that little impact was made about playfulness and that curiosity to sit with yourself and bunch of material and try and see what happens.
I think it just gave me
So,
courage or happiness to do it a little free flow, which I've never done, and to see it emerging, like how you said, childlike, that I can see clouds emerging or flowers emerging or some shape. It really gave me a lot of joy. Would hope to really, really explore this.
Yes.
So much
Yeah.
for it.
Is there some
So,
background noise from my side?
yeah. So sorry. Okay, can you, for me, like I start feeling when I'm putting the color, I'm thinking, what will I make after this out of it? And so, so with that, what color to put, I start thinking in advance. So I mean, that's creating boundaries for me. I think I should get out of it. You're mute.
So I do bunch of these, hundreds of these. Like I must have done more than 1,000 of these textures. I keep them aside under my bed or in the storeroom. I go back to them after 2, 3 years and see what they can become. And every time I look at it, the way I see the shapes or forms or story in that is different based on what mood I am in, where I am placed in that point of my life. So it's a very interesting blend of both intuition and planning, playfulness and value, um, you know, surrender and acceptance. Um, there's so many things. Actually, I think once you do these exercises, you feel very free, actually. I feel that when you put out whatever is coming in your mind and like you get an idea and you immediately put it out, there's a lot of freedom that is coming along with these actions that you're doing. So it's actually freeing in some way. You needed that bit of devotion, madness, trust that this process is going to take you somewhere. Any reflections, Navya?
Very hard to put in words, Shyam. I think for me it has been one of my favorite classes today. Yeah, I've been constantly thinking about why am I here? For the last 1 month, I've been really wondering. I'm not able to show up consistently and all of that. So today, while you were talking about textures, you were asking about what are textures, and I ended up contemplating about a world with no textures. How dull and boring would that be? So I just felt like it would just be so plain and muted for me. And while I was doing uh, some of the works today, I felt so free and mm, yeah, I think I could feel a sense of devotion today, Sham, which is beautiful because it's been a while. I have not been able to be very free, be it in my mind or in the way I move, in the way I talk. There's a sense of fear. So for the last 2 hours, I felt very fearless, and I'm also able to sit with that and observe my own fearlessness and what it's turned into. It's turned into something so beautiful. I don't think I can ever replicate any of these, right? So everything is just extremely unique. Um, yeah, there's so much power to spontaneity. Thank you. Thank you for today, Shyam.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing this, Navya. What, I mean, just 2 hours could do this to you. Imagine spend more time doing this. It's definitely very freeing. I mean, um, yes. Any more reflections?
Yeah,
And
Shyam.
I
Dipti here.
want to say, whenever you get an opportunity to interact with Navya, you should do that. She's wonderful, wonderful person. I met her in person, I think 2, 3 months ago, and she's a teacher trainer. Uh, she's an architect, and she's into designing curriculums and design education. Wonderful, wonderful person. Very glad and blessed that she's part of our community. Thank you, Navya. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, someone else was sharing.
Yeah, Shyam. This is Dipti. Dipti D. So I started with the thought, like I think Divya shared, a day now you have to use this costly papers. Thank God my paints are old. All these thoughts were going on, and then I grabbed something which was cheap. Then I put my mind into rest. I was like, okay, this is fine. And I think I have not done this exercise from a very long time. This is like a first step which we used to do a long time before anything started, right? So I used to have a very textured backgrounds for my paintings, which I have stopped. So now it comes like a memory to me that way, and it makes me more curious in terms of what certain shapes or things can become, right? So that is something that
It's
I'm
a little
thinking
blurred.
about. Okay, I think it's because of the background. Yeah. So this is what I did. I did like a small piece of things here. So now I can imagine maybe, some things can happen there. There
Right.
is some possibility I can see. I saw something like this. I did
Right.
something like this, and then I thought that maybe this could be like a very rainy day, and
Yes.
something else is happening in this scene. So yes, it really opened up like the
Yeah.
joy of painting that part. So very glad that, I sat with it, and with all those thoughts, I still did something. So it was really nice. Like I like some parts of some things which came in. There are some dark textures, there are some,
Yeah.
some light things. I don't know what to do with the white patches though. So I
Yeah,
thought,
I
oh,
think
maybe I should think again.
sometimes we don't really have we don't get an idea as to what to do with it. I recommend you pause it, you keep it aside. When you look at it after 2, 3 months or 2, 3 years, then you get some different ideas. So you don't
Correct.
necessarily have to work on it immediately. Do a lot of these, keep them as a library, and then you can always go back to them whenever you feel lost or something. You can look at them. Even looking at them actually frees you because those are
Hmm.
frozen moments of your freedom.
Hmm. Yeah.
The work of art that was done with freedom, it actually has frozen your freedom. And when you look back at your own work, it elicits, it opens up, it evokes what state of mind you were in at that time.
Yes, yes, yes. I think
Very,
that is very nice. That is very nice to think that, oh, in this moment I
yes,
did something so
yes,
freeing without thinking too much. Yeah.
yes.
So it was nice.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Deepthi. Deepthi does wonderful watercolors. I think we'll ask her to present in one of the sessions, maybe next week or something.
I'm already under pressure.
Ankita, कैसा लगा?
Very cool. I realized that I've tried salt in Delhi only, and Delhi is very, very humid. So the salt itself already has a lot of water, so it's not picking up the water I'm providing it with. So now I'm excited to try it and on the hills
Dharamshala.
go back. Yeah. But beautiful stuff came up. Like I tried the water thing that you suggested, and I can
Oh,
see
lovely.
those droplets of
Lovely.
water. And then here I tried tissue paper texture. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
And it gave like those cracks that we see in the ocean,
Yes.
no, in the
Yes.
waves. Then here also randomly I was just dabbling with. So the water that was coming out of the two others, I dabbled that, like I dabbed this paper with that. So all these colors automatically came in, and then I saw that there's a tree maybe coming up. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very much fun, very much
Yeah.
freeing, like everybody's saying.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Nice of you. Sit through for 2 hours. I know it is a little overwhelming today. There are too many things we discussed. We discussed about textures, flowing, water, a lot of elements, demonstrations. But I want to do this because I want to create I want to put that little seed in your head and leave you free for the next 2, 3 weeks so that that seed keeps uh, growing. Any other reflections before we call it a day?
Yeah, Shyam, I first was trying to copy your colors. So I was limited with the color because I was trying to copy yours. Then I was into performance because I was trying to see the steps that you were following. Rather, I should have gone into the flow. Third is, it was structured in a linear way. I should have gone lateral. So if I look at all the three, I went because like a student in a linear way, I did not go with a free flow. So my learnings have been that I go in a flow state as opposed to performance state.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it definitely happens with all of us, especially when we are in the starting phase, no? We don't really know different ways of approaching something, and we usually approach it with however we are used to approach other things in life. So there's a standard way of approaching things because especially when we are professionals, we are very careful about how we approach things because there's dependency. I mean, there are others who gets affected if you are not careful. You can't be free flowing and have a lot, do things that are risky when you're working with others, right? Especially when you have a professional setup. So only when you're doing it for yourself, you have this risk appetite. You can really make place for accidents or have this risk appetite. So those who are professionals or working, are used to working with a group or, you know, they've developed their mind or brains in that particular structure. There's always that structure. Everything is learned in that structural way. What we are trying to do is that to realize how beautiful it is to break free from that structure and learn from anywhere. There's no path, there's no way. You can begin anywhere. If you want to paint a human being, you can paint from the hair, you can paint from the toe, you can paint from the nails, you can start with the abdomen, you can start with the skeleton. No rules.
Yeah, I think
That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us different.
yeah, in a professional environment, as you said, there's an outcome, there is a goal, and hence you're looking at a product or a service. And I was looking at my 3 works and I was trying to see a meaning out of it. So the closest where I was into a flow was, of course, one, but I don't know what I can do out of it. So always the purpose is, so far, the trained mind
Is
that
there. It's always there in the back of the mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
of what use can that be? Or is there an audience? So I think I need to move out of, is there an audience, to am I enjoying the process?
Thank you. This is just a beginning. This is just 1% of what is possible. I really hope that you guys go back to your desks very quickly and dabble around and see what comes out. If you're really, cautious about using costly paper, it's okay. You can use 200 GSM paper, Canson Montval, or papers that are not very expensive to begin with. And then eventually, as you gain confidence, as understand how colors are behaving, how they're drying and all, then you can get into the costlier paper. Shall we call it a day? Anyone ask questions, then you can stay back. Otherwise, you're done for the day.